He feels like he might have made a mistake there. Instead moves forward. Can he get there in time? Doesn't look like it either. Remember, there is an animation that comes from behind us. Look is baking that it's going to connect through, and it does. All right, there was just a little bit of time for it to connect. No point for that, but it is okay. He gets seen there. Saf, Aegis, and Kanata are the team on the high ground. Cold, once again, is alive with a lead in this game, too, so they're coming back. Trazix, Jamper, and Day still up in this game as well. No Day, but that's a big Elim there onto Crackley. Nicely done. My gosh, they're still in this, Reese.
That's exactly why they play the charge. You see exactly the firepower that Tragic has with it. Holds that charge, holds the angle, connects to 147. The huge shots from him, and that's picked up the refresh to keep them moving in the bottom right, in the top right. We still see the full trio of Elite, Cold, and Cease in this as well. They're looking to take a home run. They were in 6th. Now they're trying to clutch this all the way back up with their opponents, Tragic and Damper. The first place team, the current leaders on the top right now, still in the game, in a great position on the low ground, but they are starting to run out of materials.
Cease's trio is only 50 points away now. They're really starting to close in here, but the fact that Jamper's trio is still alive right now, but no, Cease goes down, Elite goes down. There is still one more up, and that is Cold. Tragic is also mega lit up right here. It is anyone's game right here. Who's going to take third place? This is Cold on the other side of the wall. It has to be, and yes, he's going to find Tragic. Jamper versus Cold. Jamper's going to win, though, and that is for third place, and the hold on the first place slot here as well. High ground we know is Saf and crew, but Jamper, he's done his job. He's done enough. He's made it through for his team.
They drop down to the low at 3v2. Nil gets tagged. He's picked up. Casker still in this as a solo 40 HP. He can't do anything about it. It's going to go to Agers, Kanata, and Saf, who were in 15th before that. But did you see 9 eliminations? I think that was on Kanata there, his POV. I think this was a huge, huge game for them. Coming from 15th, you've got to think, that's a, what, 150, 120? I don't know. I don't know maths. I know the desk doesn't either. We'll see it when the actual leaderboards pop up, though.
Oh my gosh. So 9 Elans onto Agers there. That's a total of, I believe, 15 plus eliminations there. That was just a massive, just a monstrous game right there from Saf, Aegis, and Kanata. We talked about the potential, the skill ceiling with Kanata and what he's capable of. And of course, Saf, you know, it just goes without saying. That's an absolute incredible trio that's banded together. And hey, they're showing it. They're proving, you know what, we have what it takes to come back here.
Yeah, and let's throw it back to the desk just to see exactly what those leaderboards are looking like.
Reese, you know we always got you covered with those leaderboards. My goodness, 15 eliminations. I joked about this yesterday. This is so hard to do in a lobby like this with the caliber of players we have. That is over 100 points. They started in 15th place going into that game, and now with that, of course, they're looking to climb as much as possible. I just can't believe, like, that's what I'm telling you, dude. Day number 2 is insane. Look at this, from 15th to 7th, they've doubled their placement, and now they're inside the top 10, right? If they aim higher, Vivid, they can walk away with more prize money, but right now they just need to hold on.
Yeah, they are not out of it. Yeah, man, I've been disappointed with how they've been performing, but right after that game there, you know, they just jump all the way up to 7th place. That is so awesome. Another team that we saw that was rising the ranks very quickly was Bucky, Peterbot, and Macro. They still are in that 6th place, but unfortunately in that game, their rise was halted because they did get 20th place with only 1 elim. But our top 3 teams there, Jamper, Day, and Tragic, Slacks, Acorn Jack, and Dukes, Marimbuga, all 3 of them finding themselves in the end game at the end there. So they are still maintaining that top 3 position on the leaderboard. And then Cease, Cold, and Elite, we saw them in the end game too. You know, Cold taking out Jamper's teammate, but Jamper ultimately taking him out in the end.
Yeah, I mean, guys, I'm going to say it, right? Aegis, Saf, and Kanata, I predicted these guys, and just like me, always fashionably late to a party. That's exactly what's going on right now.
Man.
15 eliminations for the team. Insane stuff, but we were kind of running them off. You said, you know, 15th position earlier on in the competition. Suddenly, there are only 8 points between your guys' pick, Kamam and Centered and Stretch now, and we never saw that coming. And that is insane, but, you know, another team that's entered a 300 club now, and, you know, it's still all to play for. You know, this is, you know, I'm focusing on this one team right now, obviously because I predicted it, but also at the same time because of what a swing in the leaderboard that's taken after just one game. If that can happen again, anything's possible. At this point, with Jamper, Day, and Tragics being so consistent, we can see there with 54 eliminations, but 250 placement points, that insane combination, with no Victory Royales again. No Victory Royales, but still always being there or thereabouts. That is proving the difference right now. They're just finding their way each and every time to get into that end game and to cause a lot of problems with other teams. We've seen that earlier on today. They managed to kind of pin down teams, not let them get anywhere near them. And that's what's been the big difference, I think. They're kind of really working their environment in close proximity so well that they're not really giving other teams a chance to get into their box or to try and challenge them at least anyway. I think this is why this is going to be a really interesting last couple of games, because from what I can see here right now, they have everything. They have the confidence, the win in their sails, we've talked about before as well. I think this is looking mighty, mighty strong here, fellas. Mighty strong indeed.
They're fearless, right? Like, that's crazy as well when you think back to the day one performances, right? They weren't really that crazy. They weren't even really in our, like, top 10, right? They were flying so quietly under the radar. They knew exactly what they were doing. And then day two starts and, like, double points. Now is our time. 418 points. Like you were saying, no Victory Royales, 54 eliminations. And look at that average placement, right? 9.40. Absolutely ridiculous. We only have 2 games left. Vivid, Adam, do we think that these guys could win it all? They have a lead right now, but again, we have 2 more matches, and anything could still happen.
I think the big thing to remember is that we are on that double point format, right? So we take a look at like Aegis, Seth, and Kanata. They just had like a 100-point game. So any of these teams at pretty much any moment can get a 100-point game and pretty much just overtake the lead. Jamper, Day, and Tragic, they have to stay focused in these last 2 games. If they fumble at any point in either of these last 2 games, you have the likes of Slacks, Acorn, and Jack right on the tail, only trailing by 19 points, which is almost nothing in this double point format. So they got to stay consistent, and if they can do that, they can for sure take it home.
I think the only way that this is going to go any other way than Jamper and Co.'s way. I said the word way there like 7 times, but I think it was justified. I think if it goes any other way, I think ultimately they're going to have to slip up early in one of the games.
Yeah.
But for the other teams to kind of like, catapult beyond them or at least get close. I think if they manage to maintain as they have them previously, an average placement of almost, 9th is just incredible in this kind of lobby like this with all the best, arguably the best trios there are out there right now. I just can't see it happening. But it's all to play for. 2 games to go, Zeke. It's looking mighty interesting.
Here we go, Adam. It's time to jump on the bus once more. So let's kick it back over to the casters for the next game.
It's Grand Royale here, and I mean it's been an incredible set of games so far. We're moving into game 11 so far, right? This is where the mental really starts to kick in for our competitors. We see how close the leaderboard is. Our top 10. I mean, it's been a brilliant day for the players that have managed to really step up today, and the standings. It's showing the only team that has really been consistent, I think, the most so far is Duke, Mira, and Bugha, who managed to claw right back on up into the top 10.
Yeah, they've done really well the last 2 games, put themselves now into 3rd overall. Obviously, it's all to play for. When we looked over at EU, it was a very similar story with the top 4 teams looking really strong, being super close up there. We have this game, which will definitely figure out what's going to happen going into the last game, right? That's going to solidify probably who's going to win the tournament in terms of who it can be. Will it be this set of 3 teams, this set of 4 teams? But it's obviously not all decided here yet.
Yeah, it's just how practical is it to not fumble a game the way Adam and kind of Zeke were talking about. Like, when you look at the track record of Jamper, Day, and Tragics, yesterday's first 2 games for them were not great at all. They had 2 fumbles and then did not look back ever since. They've only gone in better and better placements and scoring elim games. And today they have been just on a phenomenal run so far, but we've already seen their imperfections. We've seen all of the teams show their imperfections. No team has been, like untouchable, essentially.
They haven't. Looking also at Slack, Acorn, Jack, who are 10 eliminations that last game with 5th place. The last 3 games from Slack, Acorn, and Jack have been honestly a bit of a masterclass. They've really started to turn up the heat in day number 2. They're only 19 points behind Jamper, Day, and Tragics in 1st. And they're looking to go back to, well, I'll just say back to back, get the 2 times FNCS championship for them. It would be a really nice ending to the full story if they were able to come back and win it again, especially after they're one of the only teams who stuck together for the entire year.
Yeah, the best part about, honestly, all of the teams inside the top 10 is for each and every one of them taking home this Grand Royale championship. there's something special about each and every one of their journeys because all of them have been here for so long, have worked so hard, have, you know, mounted a number of different accolades, you know, individually and as a team holistically. So, you know, it's gonna suck to see someone, you know, take second and take third, but it's gonna be very, very awesome to crown ourselves the new Grand Royale champ.
I mean, every single top 3 team has at least one FNCS champion in it. So, you know, the teams who've been performing all year clearly are the teams who are still on top right now, coming towards the end of the year, which is great to see. However, the fight right now down in Risky Reels that we've gone to a few times, most of the matches we've seen between Shadow, Savage, and Jathan, Muddsy's team, honestly, not worked out for any team. I think we all could have figured this out when we saw them contesting it in game number 2. Fighting over Risky Reels, it's not really worth it.
Not worth it at all. Here comes the bait. Muddsy, MNR, and Yuden, their placement have been 32, 32, 28, 20, and 32. just rough last couple games.
You gotta learn
Shadow
somewhere,
Trio
though.
and Jace Trio on the other hand, I mean, they did have a 10th place 5 elimination game last. They had a 14th and 4 elims the one before that, so they're starting to work their way up. They're not completely out of it with the way the format's working out, but yeah, all in all, this contested drop really, really isn't working.
Not at all, and you also got to remember that for the teams who are down at the lower end of the leaderboard, if you get from into, say, top 33 up until the top 25, or in the top 20, top 15, top 10, like that's where the different thresholds start coming through for each of the individual players. So even though these teams are lower down on the leaderboard right now overall, it's definitely important that they still start to play hard and get involved. This is how this fight actually ended up starting out here. See Savage being picked up instantly and Jay starting to clutch things back up with a little 2-piece, and unfortunately just being picked up himself there.
Cleaned up, wiped up, and taken out of the game. Then goes for the save here to bring his trio right back into the running, so he won't be Team 32 taken out. Not just yet, not looking to give up by any means. Nexibots trio seems to be the first one completely taken out of this game this time around.
See for Simple Knife for Donnie, a team who's it's changed up the drop spot this time, and it seems to have worked out well for them. Remember, we saw these guys fighting in their home on the far west of the map in the Fantasy View house near the castle split. Not worked out so well this time, but hold on a minute. Cam, I don't know if this is a push, but it seems like a potential drop spot swatch. I was very worried about this at the start of the day. We saw potentially the fact that Cam's team was going to switch up the drop spot. Yes, they've managed to pick up Cold and Cease, now leaving Elite as a solo. You got to remember, these guys are in your top 5 so far. That's huge for the leaderboard so far, that drop switch up. And again, it hasn't been working out so well for Bryce's team before.
I was gonna say, not only that, he put on Cease's skin. Like, that is just...
Oh, there's some bad blood here.
Yeah. Wow. That's a rough one right there. They switched up the draw spot after not having success all week long. They come here to Coral Castle. They take the drop. They get the first 2 sets of elims, and now they're camping the reboot cards here just to be that kind of trio. Now, on the outside, there's a team at Shark. There's a team also lurking just nearby at the outer edge of Believer Beach. That could be Saf and company. Trying to roll on up, potentially look on in, decide, hey, we already know, hey, if we got zone here, this is going to be the best place for us to find some tags and some elims. But I mean, Reese, just looking at that situation, that is just heartbreaking, honestly.
Heartbreaking for the team who's currently in 4th place. Had a shot and still have a shot at winning the title, but now with only 1 member remaining on their team, with the team clearly waiting on the reboot cards. They know the strats there. They know that they don't need to be in any hurry to rotate. It's not looking good for the Coral Castle team.
So rough. I'm just trying to think of like all the scenarios, the way this can play out differently for the next game, because it's pretty clear what the intentions are of Bryce's trio here. So how do you take this situation, this let's just be honest, this whack situation you've been put in, right? Because now you've lost this game, this opportunity to earn big points, right? It's your probability of success now is just so slim. So you have to just assume, how do you work it out for the next round? Do you switch it up? Do you try to be more passive on the drop, get some, and then just give the rest of the loot away? Like, what is it that you have to do to walk away from there so that you have a realistic chance to stay in the money up in the top 10? Because, you know, just besides the championship title that's on the line here, I mean, Cold and Elite, think about that life-changing money that these guys can earn here just from staying inside the top 3, right?
That's huge thresholds. I mean, you ask them, what do they do? What do they change? The expectations, what they got to change coming into the final game. Like, when you're uncontested for game after game, you don't expect a team to switch the drop spot up and land on you. But now you know that. You know what the possibilities are. Elite actually picks up Knight in the feed, and that's him going down to Rogue Shark, unfortunately. That's the end of their run. No placement points. Potentially, yeah, no finish, you're right. I was about to say potentially the points coming out, but that drop spot, ooh, switch up is rough. Now they know it, right? They know what the intentions are of the other team. They know they're going to try and land on it. They've fought them there before, which means in that final game, they have to win it and frag out later on.
Yeah, they got to make up for lost time there. The drop spot's compromised. Bugha, Dukes, and Miro. A little bit of a different approach here. This time they move up to the mountain. They find a Minish on the rotate on out. Headshots are going to come through, and now the high ground take here, trying to make this nice and textbook. They're going to work from the top down. And you know what? I like this fight because it's showing that they want to fight for first place here, and they're looking to put a little bit of risk on the line. They don't want to fall behind the Storm Surge. So the tags that they get here are going to be big for them and crucial to this game. And now they're going to look to rotate straight north. This is a very, very long push they're going to have to make out here.
This is it. This is the bit we missed from Bryce's team switching up. That's the shot they connected. Shaking down, skin on skin action. Getting the finish through, unfortunately, onto Cease. Jack and Slack, the fight that we missed as well. They managed to push all the way into Misty and pick up a fight there. This has been a way more aggressive. This is Elite. He's just no.
Oh, he saw him.
Oh, he's what? My God, fully finished. That hiding spot seemed good enough, but unfortunately, it was not. Slack's Acorn Jack now. Things are opening up from them, picking up elimination up to 403. They're starting to close the gap between Jamper Day and Tragics, and they've got their eyes on the prize, and that's the first place and the return of the active champions to their hands.
You know what? Respect to Knight seeing Elite in that little pixel down under that water. Because when he first got in there, I was like, dang, this is a good spot. Like, you know, he's chilling right here. I can't believe he actually got saw there. It must be like when he dived in the water, you know, you go under, his whole body must have just popped up like, bam.
Oh, I see that guy. I mean, I wouldn't see them. Like, I have the worst vision in the world. I'm going straight past. I'm the one being picked up. Like, you know it.
We both wear glasses. We're at a disadvantage here.
The Tragic and Jamper now getting tagged from a long distance away, draining away at their shields. They have plenty. Good for them for just using the wood, but we see big tags coming through the Tragics. Yeah, they've been cracked. I mean, this is what we kind of talked about the rough mid-games. A lot of aggression coming through in this later end of the tournament. We've seen most of the EU games were up at that 90 threshold of players still alive, all the way really till the end. Now, that first threshold for Storm Surge might not even pop. The live leaderboard on the far left-hand side here, 418 for Jamper. Flax, Acorn, and Jack starting to, with that elimination they got in this game, closing the gap a little bit here and pulling away a little bit from Duke, Miro, and Bugha. We already know Cease, Cold, and Elite are locked in at 367 for this game. They got to make everything count in that next one.
Play right now below the surge here. Team right in front of them. Those are wood builds. They replaced the wall. Spider Sense is kicking for Degen there. I just felt like, yeah, you know, it's probably not a good idea.
That's not a team just going to get easy tags
He's
on.
willing to go toe-to-toe with anybody right now.
They need to. If you're below, you have to be able to get some damage dealt. They didn't even manage to, still being 143, and we know this. We've seen this. We know that Jamper, Tragics, and Day are probably going to have to start taking an engagement now. For our first place team, they're starting to sweat a bit. They're going to hopefully not panic and crack under pressure. We'll have to see what the plays they make. They're starting to wrap round. They know they can't get angles and rotate that way because of the team. It's Yomzo's team up there trying to hold them, get the shots off on them. So they're going to have to go through the main building. See D-Roller's team potentially catching up. I think Day has eyes on them. This could be free. Yeah, they're in the bush. Oh, they're shooting the bush, but they have no idea. If only they had the harpoon play that we saw earlier to rip one of them out, but no. They got no tags from that. 137 below still. I think this is an engagement that we're going to have to see forced upon, and this is one of the worst spots that you could be in. But if you're a top fragging team like Jamper Tragics and Day, this is almost your element. You're forced to fight a team. They're ready to go.
Yeah, but this is not a pushover team. Roller Spagu, Charlie here, an absolute monstrous up-and-coming team. Like we mentioned, especially on day one, we really hyped them up. We talked them up. We platformed them to be a very, very sound trio here. And look at this, the way they're even playing this out here, they're going to back themselves up. Essentially reveal themselves to the team at the risky real side in hopes to get a little assistance here. But no, the angles are just a little bit better. Jamper is going to find some tags, but Day is down. And this doesn't come for nothing, though. Charlie is going to fall as well, so they get a little bit of an exchange here. Was that enough to get them out of the clear?
32 above. They were 32 above the trading, but the time's probably going to go down. I'm not sure if Tragic's got another shot. No, it's 20 below. Still 6 players alive. They're going to have to start getting aggressive. They've traded the revives. The Surge now active, tagging above. We're going to hear that coming out. This could be devastating for a top-tier team. Champers noticed that Eomzo's team is starting to rotate in. They know they're trying to third party. Eomzo potentially also struggling with Surge here, as we have seen in previous matches. Could they take advantage of this, though? No, the tags come through the Jamper. He's starting to lose HP. He's dwindling away. Day and Tragics also starting to go. Tragics is fully finished. 2 Surge. He's out of the game so far. No chance of getting him back up in it. 70 players alive. The Surge is now over, though. Day and
he's not gonna have time
as a duo. This is so big. Our first place team.
It ended. Literally ended right then and there. Would have potentially dropped Jamper out of the tournament. And just like that, they survive. And mind you, it wouldn't have been as bad if Jamper could have just landed a singular shot onto Nosh, but the pressure, it was high. The stakes were even higher. They felt it in that moment. Here's a replay, a look back at TK picking up Chucky here inside the Coral zone there alongside Slim. So they're still in the running. They're looking to bounce back here after their slow start here on day 2.
NA East reboot record. 10 games in game number 4 of the previous match. So a lot of players losing out their solos. Similarly to the way they have right now. But with Tragics going down, I'm pretty sure they can't get the reboot off, given he went down to Surge. He's instantly out of the game. They got to play this one out as a duo. 69 players still in it. We know they're not healthy on Surge for the next couple zones, so they're going to have to start doing something here. It's going to be a rough one for our top teams. This really opens up the floor for Slax, Acorn, Jack. In particular, you got to think them being in second. Jukes, Mirabuga in third as well. Obviously, Cease's team is out of this one. And even if Commandment sent into stretch has a massive game right now, they made on 350, they could hugely catch up and actually have a shot at winning or coming second.
Or coming second. Love that.
I mean, you got to put the reality of the situation in there, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's very much a possibility here. We hate to see it, but for Senses, Stretch, and Commandment, I mean, they already have 2 eliminations. Senses gets punished big time on the rotate there. Aegis, Kanata, and Saf on the other hand are in a nice little spot right here to pretty much have open sight lines on the rest of the lobby, and they are all parked up inside the Bony Burbs. That's what makes this trio shot so interesting. The shots that you're watching being exchanged between one another are almost onto each other's sight lines in trios.
It's a rough one for our top teams. Acorn, they've managed to pick up another elimination, total being 2 now. They've got a rough rotate to make their mark on the edge of the 4th zone. Bony Burbs in the mid game always has so much congestion in and around it, given the layers of verticality in the hills.
Ooh, Bucky's down to the hands of Chucky.
Bucky is down. That's huge, being our 6th place team.
Post reboot as well. So they got up and then got into a battle for Storm Surge.
You know, the only thing worse than being picked up once is going out twice.
Not this time. Not for Chucky. At least he's up. He's still in the running right now. Miro, Booga, and Dukes go with a wide rotate there. Right behind them, trailing behind them, is Day and Jamper. So they are still up as far as we can see here. Slash, Acorn, and Jack at 417 now because of the 2 elims already. First placement threshold already hit. Remember, they got to get to that top 17 next here to really start to earn, to really start to make their investment back. Here's that perspective from Day and Jamper. Keep in mind, they have to fight. Like, they have to get tags, and they know it. But Dukes, Booga, and Miro, on the other hand, do not. They're not necessarily under the same pressure here.
see the players panning in. Days jumping straight in. He's one of the most aggressive players on the region. He's showing why. He knows that they need some 480 below potentially, but no! Days going to be picked up. He is our leader, which means that Jamper is now left as a solo. Somehow, he's going to have to do what is now 200 damage. I think that just took some time to load. It's now up to 242 below. That's Frisk's team, one of the teams we've seen do extremely successful this season. One of the top teams in the region by far, based on performances. But I don't know, 270 damage is very, very rough. It's starting to go down. It's getting even worse. He's starting to get in. It's Jukes. This is not the team you want to give an elimination to if possible. They're the ones who's just one of the teams super close on the leaderboard, and if you give it to them, they're going to start catching up to you. Obviously, Jamper has no idea.
This team on the other side, though, does understand that, hey, this is a big trio that we might be going up against, but they realize, hey, it's a solo. They take him out, and just like that, our first place team is down. They're out of the game here, barely net worthing any points there outside of the placement. So this gives Slax, Acorn, and Jack opportunity to jump back up. Dukes, Miro, and Bugha an absolute opportunity to also hop back up. And then, of course, Commandment, Sense, and Stretch, who are just now creeping up behind. This is not looking good.
They're two
Slax, Acorn, and Jack, they're jumping in on them.
It's like they pick up
Oh my god!
And a chunk onto Acorn.
Oh my god!
Finish comes through. That is a full finish. So they've managed to pick up the eliminations. They've got above the threshold. I think that's another one from Stretch there too. I'm not sure if that's the full trio. Agers actually picks up Acorn.
What?
So Acorn, Slax, and Jack are now out. Our first and second place teams are down in game number 11. This means the two teams still remaining out of our top 5 are Jukes, Miro, and Bugha, and Commandment, Scented, and Stretch, who are 3rd and 5th respectively. This is just opened up hugely.
I'm holding back from just slamming my desk in excitement, okay? Because there's a very, very interesting turn of events happening right now.
The Bucky's team still here. Who? Hold on. Quickly.
Yes, Peterbot, Bucky, and Macwood are still up too. These teams are floating up to the top now, and there is nothing in their way to stop them at this point.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a tournament on our hands.
Oh my gosh, this last game. This last game. This
game now, though, game number 11 is going to be what's going to set the scene, the finale for next game. This determines everything.
I'm about to just, tag Zeke in and sit back and just watch it because, like, I just want to marvel at what is about to unfold.
Look, this season, you had some internet issues. Zeke jumped in for a game. We have the capabilities for Zeke to take over for you.
This is crazy. Okay, so now again, anything can still happen. Agers, Kanata, and Sapphire also closing in on the point threshold too. Look, 352. This is incredible. These points are about to be so close.
These guys were 15th. With that massive game that they got, with the 15 elimination victory royale that pushed them up to 7th, with the top teams going out, the whole leaderboard is about to shake up.
It's going to be so congested around that 400 point threshold. And if Bugha, Dukes, and Miro just take off right now, they're going to have the actual lead coming into the last game. Bugha might be putting himself in a situation to go back-to-back from FNCS to FNCS here on the Grand Royale stage. I mean, the possibilities are endless at this point, but it is going to come down to whether or not if they can survive this. They're only 82 damage above the surge. Here it is. This is where the games are really going to start kicking off. This is where the true Fortnite game begins.
This is a difficult part indeed. 82 above Storm Surge, 400 points total for Jukes, Bugha, and Miro going into this game. They have good amount of materials, good amount of shields, good amount of everything, including position on zone, but hold on, the layering for them, no fantastic at all. They've got to start working their way up the shots, trying to connect, and unfortunately not doing so. Players on their layer, this is getting dirty, but Jukes starting to try and jump into the box. That's a one nice tag. It's massive, but that's not going to be a knockdown to finish. There's this pump that goes down too. That puts them up above the threshold. They've claimed themselves a layer, but there's teams up in front. This is starting to get a little bit messy, but Jukes, he does not care. He's starting to get in. He's getting aggressive. They know they need the elimination point. wants, but I do not want him to overcommit here.
Now, also keep in mind, Stretch just fell in defeat, so that's up to Commandment and Sense now to clutch up and earn themselves some points here. That is the only possibility. Our Coral Castle team is the team in control of high ground. Keep that in the back of your mind as things start to unfold here, as we start to swing on down to the low ground where it matters more. Commandment is leading the TARP here on the backside. A single Elim right now, sent it off to the side here, trying to get into this new zone, looking to prioritize the rotate over healing. Here comes the moment of breather now. They can shut things down. They can start to look to bounce back in this game here. But where is our competitors? There it is. Bugha is still here. They're still hunting for it. They're finding tags, and they're a healthy trio. My gosh, we might be watching it unfold here.
They're healthy, but their builds are not. They're looking to go for the back-to-back championship runs right now, making multiple champions out of every single one of this member, but they have to perform in this game and the next. 33 comes down to the player down below. The edit comes down. Miro doesn't want to jump down because he knows there's a player there. They've hit the pad to the front side of the zone. They're all healthy. They still have materials left. The spacing good, the angles held, the ADS aimed. Bugha got a player in the box. The 75 connects from Miro, but no, he doesn't manage to finish it up. The player drops down. He's a slippery snake. He manages to get out of that box, leaving Miro, Bugha, and Jukes still in this, but they didn't get the refresh that they needed. This is now a top 9 situation.
Clarity, Niddle, and Casker have crashed the party officially. They are on high ground, and it's theirs to take away for the victory out. They're going to work towards it, but Miro, Bugha, and Dukes have a different plan in mind. Dukes looks like he found an Elim as well. Amongst all this, that's onto Chimp, so that's another player down now. 6 eliminations here. Things are starting to kick up as we only have 6 teams left in the game. Kanata finally falls. An end game for him as well. Here's Scented. Can he get one? Yes, he can. Beautifully done, and jumps back up. Oh my gosh. Staying alive here. No builds. Back to the zone. Can he get the tag? No. He gets taken out. Big knock onto Pamstu there. Well played, and Commandment tries to follow up. One single build. Oh my god.
Miro. Commandment picks up Miro. He drops down, hits the shot.
This is huge.
This is huge. He picks up the second.
No.
Jukes as well. That means Bugha's left in this as a solo.
What?
Commandment fragging in the backside of the zone. The shot's connected. The time starts to dip down as the zone
Don't do it.
Him. 2 HP. He whiffs the shot.
Oh,
no. It's going to be Casker's team who picks up the victory out with Nil and Clarity G. And this has just opened up the leaderboards for so many teams coming into the final game.
And this is why I love watching Commandment in Endgame. He is the Mr. Highlight himself. Always coming through, putting up a show when it matters most. The fact that he picked up Dukes and Miro, denying them the second place and converting eliminations towards them is massive. But Casker, Niddle, and Clarity, they have also done something incredible here. They have officially put themselves up into 360 plus territory, Reese. Those are big points. That means they're in the conversation to earn much more prizing leading into game number 12 now.
I'm nervous. I'll tell you that right now. My heart rate's racing. I had the exact same thing going into the final game of EU. These games have absolutely turned out to be one of the most intense games that we have watched. We've broken it down enough. Let's see what the desk has to say about it, though.
NA East is giving me life right now. I cannot believe this. In EU, we had a very similar situation going into the last game with a Grand Royale. The top 4 teams were going head to head, and that is exactly what we're seeing right now. Vivid, our dream, our trio is alive. They are fighting back, and you know what? They could very well come back and win it all.
Yes, let's go. Scented and Commandment, the duo clutch, man. I feel like this whole Grand Royale, it's just been like basically duos. Like, guys, I know we announced that there's going to be like duos next year and everything like that, but you guys, you know, we're still playing, you know, a trios event. Stretch goes down early, Scented Commandment. Commandment alone there in the end game, picking up Elims, going absolutely crazy. Such clean mechanics to pick that second place clutch up. That was amazing. 424 points. Only 4 points behind Jamper, Day, and Tragic, who went down early, had some struggles with Storm Surge, and lost the lead. But Dukes, Mero, and Bugha said, all right, now's our chance to themselves a nice, comfortable 24-point lead. But Slacks, Acorn, and Jack also not too far behind. Let's not forget, we are on day number 2, which means double points. These little gaps that kind of exist between our top 4 right now almost mean nothing. There is still no room for mistake going into this last game. And, like, yeah, we're just repeating what happened over in the year. It's going to come down to this last game.
It is. I can't believe I'm saying this, but fellas, of the five of us predicted teams, all the teams that we predicted, us on the broadcast here, are in the top 5, which is kind of nuts, right? That's I can't believe it. I'm just living the dream here because I thought that Saf and Canada had no chance in ages at one stage, but suddenly they're top 5. But we saw there at the end again. You know, I think the biggest key factor, we talked about this in the last part just before game 11 there, that Jamper, Tragics, they have to move forward now, and we have some teams. I mean, can we believe that the current FNCS champions, you know, at least 2 of them, Mira and Booga, are currently sat at the top of the leaderboard? You know, could we see it? Could we see an FNCS and then Grand Royale back-to-back victory for these 2? It's absolutely possible. There is 1 game left. We have our very own kind of reboot round to a degree here, where whoever comes out on top, gets a lot of eliminations, is going to be the champion of this. And man, this is a great way. What a region, what a finals, what a Grand Royale. I'm loving every second of this.
I want to call an audible here, okay? What I want to do very quickly, as soon as we can, is take a look at the prize money on the line, and then I want to double back and go look at our standings. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, Zeke, what the heck are you doing? You're calling an audible. Just follow me on this, okay? Look at how much prize money is on the line. Remember, look at top 10. This is our top 10 right now. And Iamzo on the leaderboards is holding that spot. Basically $20,000 for a trio. Now, let's double back to our standings real quick, okay? Back to our standings real quick, okay? We only got a couple more seconds here before we jump on that bus, so bear with me. Take a look at this list. All right, Fortnite fam, take this in. Look at this, 303 right now. You've got Degen, Nosh, Iamzo. They're holding strong right now, but they could slip up, right? We just saw this, Adam. We just saw Tragics and company slip up, and they fell down. We only have 1 game left, and look at how close this is. Adam, Vivid, I still think this could go any way. If any of these trios make 1 mistake, whether that be, oh, well, we pushed someone and we thought we were going to, you know, do whatever, and then one of our teammates goes down, now we're looking at a duo situation, it's going to be tough, Vivid. It's going to be real tough.
Yeah, let's not forget Ager, Saf, and Canada. They started this climb up into the top 10 with a 120-point game, right? So there's a world where, like, our whole, like, top 8 just don't get any points, and then D-Roller just gets 120 points, and he just soars all the way up there. You know what I mean? Like, anything can happen. This format is just making this last game worth it to stick around for and watch. This is very, very exciting. This is going to be, like, the most exciting game I feel like we've had all year.
It is. You get into the top 10 at 10th position, you're at $19,000. You get to like top 5, $54,000. First position, like 200, whatever it is, $40,000. It is nuts. Everyone needs points. Everyone needs to get on the leaderboard for prize pool money and obviously for glory as well.
Absolutely. 303. That is the number to make it in the top 10. And, of course, you can't forget 452. That's first place right now. Let's do this, Fortnite fam. One last time in NA East. Reese Hub, MDF, back over to you.
12 long games, 2 even longer days of competition. And let's not even talk about the roadmap, the journey that it took to get here just to fight for the prizing. Game number 12 of NA East is about to go down. One of the closest tournaments that we have been able to just have front row seats to, Reese. This is incredible. We're watching history unfold here.
4 different teams have the potential to take the lead the first, maybe even more depending on how the day goes. There honestly could be 5, 6, maybe 7, 8. I honestly don't know how many teams could win this at this point. All I know is this is incredibly close. Juke, Miro, Booga up in first, Jamper Day and Tragics in second, so close behind. And with an incredible performance on day number 2, Commandment, Sid, and Stretch. We cannot say that enough, how good and how consistent they have been on this day number 2. Honestly, one of the best teams out there by far.
Yeah, the thing is, they had like we said before, a solid day 1. Not a phenomenal day 1 by any means. They didn't get to that top 3. They never once really approached it, but they were very, very consistent, and then they carried it into day 2. And that last game, we just watched them pull home the biggest game that they have had this tournament yet, right? A second place, 10 eliminations. Now, Jamper, Day, and Tragics, on the other hand, just had one of their worst performances, if not actually, their actual worst performance, 21st with 0 eliminations. The history is showing here. Their last 21st place that they pulled was in game number 2 yesterday, and at least they had 4 elims then. But the fact that they are not putting anything, that's like almost a donut of a round, has set them back 30 points now.
Luckily, Dade, Amber Tragic's not beamed out of the sky. I couldn't imagine anything more tragic than to see them go down to the Cammy split team out with the sky before they even have a chance to hit the ground. So everything seems set up for our top teams. They're in the running so far. I'm not sure what happened over at Coral Castle. The team's still engaged, but
I was just gonna say,
doing much better in that previous game, I don't see any reason why they would switch up the drop spot this time.
I was just gonna say, I need to see Cease Cold in Elite. I need to see the drop spot at Coral Castle because, like you just mentioned, they just almost won a game. Like you know what I mean? They worked their way all the way through to the end game. They had a high ground. That was by far the best round that they've had yet, and they were nearly there. This is a fight for a fight that we haven't actually seen break out this early. Nani, Okus, and Dusky here taking a battle over at the Bodhi Birds right now, up against Dubs, Mega, and Pump. Pump thought he was gonna go somewhere, jumps back out, gets caught up there by Okus. So a little bit of early game action here. A couple teams not making it into this last round, so a few spots might be potentially opened up and or uncontested this time around. So things are mixing up a little bit here.
Yeah, this is the team that usually lands to the west here in the Shattered Saucer, or Orange, as some people like to call it, just south of Believers Beach, the new crash site. Clearly, Dusky's team wants to just pop off, pick up some eliminations. They managed to pick up 4 so far, so they've really got involved in this fight. I'm wondering if the rest of this game's going to be even more aggressive. I got the update from Coral Castle. The Coral Castle has not been contested. It would seem like no action going on there overall. We'd like to check in and see visually how that's played out, where the teams have landed. Just a little flyby, because it's just such a huge change in the drop spot. Slacks, Acorn, and Jack still down in their drop spot, looking good. This is currently our team, who is in 4th. They were in 2nd in that previous game. Weren't able to pick up. They went down in 18th, only getting a handful of points. So for them, this last game and with everyone else is absolutely nothing.
They could have been up there at 1st or 2nd place spot, but they did fall early. They quite honestly allowed everyone else to have the opportunities to jump up and make this a much closer tournament leading into the last game here. Outside of the top 5, though, worth mentioning Bucky, Peterbot, and Macwood, who have a notorious track record, especially Bucky and Macwood, for taking home Victory Royales in the final game. So do not count them out. This is something different, though, that we're watching from Cease and Elite here. The early rotate, a very early rotate, quick loot, half the material cap here, and then moving on in to take a fight. They do not want to get ambushed, set up on, or trapped here at the drop.
Yeah, it's been an awkward one for them, but they're used to this setup. They're no longer contested off the rip. They have these double teams fighting right to the east of them. That's happened every single game. They've gone from tags. They've moved over to these players to take advantage of the people that are here. They're very comfortable doing this. This is what they did for game 1 through to 10 onto Dom and Ganzo's team going against Blake, who've just been whittling away, we'll say, at this fight throughout the entire 2 days. A lot of smack talk on the social media to not really perform from what seems like any of the team, both being in the bottom 10.
Yeah, this is again a very important moment for Cease Cold and Elite. That last game, they were one of our leaders here in the tournament, and they're still inside the running here now to have a life-changing position put before them. Great tags here Cease is finding as they're starting to get together their surge. And take a look at the zone as well. This is starting to pull south now. So this is going to be very difficult for teams that struggle making those longer rotates, and teams that struggle just having the zone land on top of them, right? Like we've seen in the past for trios like Scented and Commandment, for example. But Bugha and Cruz seem to welcome these types of drops, and look at this, a different strategy already being employed by Bugha. They've